Okay, let's see. What we have here is a aftercooler from one of the very large construction compressors that they use to run the jackhammers. This one, let's see, this one is an Ingersoll Rand. I guess it's about 185 CFM. And this, like I said, this is one of those, I call them construction compressors. So this is the aftercooler. This is, I guess, where the air, it creates the air, and then I guess it goes through this, and then after it comes through this, I guess it goes through this, I have this inverted because I had to take this nipple out, goes through this type of, well, obviously it's a filter. I guess it's some sort of a filter dryer. I guess this is probably a spitter or something. I don't know all that much about it. And then I guess after it comes through the, again, I don't know what the particular order is. If it comes through the dryer and then through the filter, then I guess it eventually makes its way out to the tools you're going to be using. I have that set up like that because I had to spin this nipple out because I want to use it for a template. Here's the deal. The reason it's here for repair, I guess this is the bottom. This is the bottom, and that's the top, and it was used, you know, naturally it was used. It was mounted, I guess this is part of the mounting system here, these bolts. Now you can see someone, I guess at some point it cracked or broke. I think they said somewhere, I guess on the tanks here, or I don't know if it was in the cores, on both sides. So apparently, I guess this must be a linear, I guess it must be a linear situation. I guess these things just flow completely through. So apparently what they did to fix it, or had someone do to fix it, was just to cut it out, cut the two, let's call them cores, I guess, the two cores out. Then I guess, I don't know, I haven't gotten the part yet, so I don't know. I guess they just probably welded, you know, cut the two cores out, welded the ends of the tanks on both sides, and then put the core, you know, these pieces back in, and just welded them, you know, back, I guess for, you know, for the mounting, you know, to keep, for the mounting purposes, and essentially just did away with the two bottom cores. And like I said, I guess this is saved for the mounting. So they say it's gone bad again, and it's leaking like crazy. They said so. So they, you know, naturally they want it fixed. Now I think they told me what they think happened. The reason it went bad this time is, I guess, since we've had a real winter around here, they seem to think that maybe water had collected in here and froze. I guess, I don't know if these are probably some sort of drains or something. Maybe they didn't activate them, maybe they weren't working, I don't know. But they suspect that that's what happened. There was quite a bit of water even in it, even when I got it, and that's after they had already taken everything apart. So naturally they want me to essentially just do what was done, you know, just you know, take this out, weld the tanks up again, and then you know, give it back to them so they can, you know, put it back in here and remount it. So the problem is, I said, well, yeah, that's great. I says, but you know, I have to be able to charge it somehow to you know, to check it with air. So they, like I say, so that's what I'm up to now. Is they, you know, again, I said I need a way to, you know, to charge it. So what they did, I said, do you have the fittings? So that's all they have for the fittings. So what I did, what I did was I took this naturally is the piece that was screwed in here. So I just I spun this off, and as you can see, this is, put this way, this is the this is obviously an O-ring fitting that would go on here. So I took that out. So I guess so I was able to come up, looking around, was able to come up with another O-ring that matched that one. So what my plan is essentially is just to take this, and I got some aluminum plates here, and what I'll do is just take the aluminum plates, transfer the holes, the mounting holes, because naturally it's not a bolt circle, right? Nothing's easy, as they say, right? In other words, it doesn't work out evenly. These, you know, it's a different spacing this way than this way. So anyway, so I figured what I would do is just, you know, put this, you know, transfer this onto these aluminum plates, and then, you know, drill them, and then cut into the plate, cut an O-ring, you know, set it up in, I guess, in the lathe, and and cut an O-ring groove in, you know, for these O-rings. And then one, I guess I'll put a hole in to charge it with air, and the other one will just remain a blank. So what I wound up doing, I don't have a, these are big bolts, these are 5/8 bolts, and I didn't, there's a little clearance built in. I don't have a transfer punch large enough for that. So what I've done so far, what I'm up to, is I made a little bushing, and then I'll just take, in this case, that's a 5/16 transfer punch. So that's what I'll do to begin with. I'll transfer the holes onto the plates, and I'll drill them, and then, like I said, then I guess what I'll do is I will set this up after I've drilled the holes. I guess I'll, you know, I'll center it between the holes, because I mean, this doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. If you look here, I've got a fair amount of leeway on this thing, as long as that, you know, that makes it in between the, you know, seals off between the bolts and the center hole, will be fine. So I'll just mark it after I drill the holes, transfer it, drill the holes, mark it. Like I said, I'll leave one blank. I'll, you know, cut the O-ring grooves in both of them, leave one blank, and then just drill one hole and tap it, you know, I guess for a 1/4 inch pipe or something, so that I'll be able to charge the thing with air, and, you know, and do a good test on it, you know, find out what's leaking, and, you know, and this and that, and then and then I'll take it from there. So that's what I'm up to, and I guess now, like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go about setting these up and transferring these holes, and then after that, like I said, I'll drill them and I'll come into the lathe, and I'll try to bring you through this as I go through it. I'll be back. All right, so what I did was I did my transferring of the bolt holes, and then I went over to the mill and I drilled both plates for the bolt pattern, I'll call it. I mean, I guess it is a bolt circle, it's just not even. So I did that, and yeah, I guess I could have stayed in the mill and set up the rotary table or whatever. I don't know. To me, it just, I don't know, I prefer to work in the lathe. I don't know if I mentioned I'm not a huge fan of milling operations. So anyway, what I did was predicated on that. Let's see. Yeah, I made just a little on both of them. Even though they're both not getting center holes, I made a little, you know, just I center drilled it, just not drilled it. I touched it with the center drill just to make you know, a point that I could come off of and do my measurement. It's a 3.5 inch circle for the O-ring. So then so based on that, I knew it wasn't going to be very, very hard at all to set it back up in, you know, to set it up in a 4-jaw and get it located. So so I decided to do it that way. And so what I did was I obviously I set it up in the 4-jaw, and then I just I didn't have to grind a tool. Here, I happen to have one, so I was able to use a little tool, and it was just about the right size. It's an 1/8 inch thick O-ring. I measured the one on the factory flange. It's a little wider than that. It's about 150, and my tool that I had is about 135 or something, but that's all right. You know what I wound up doing was I got my mark, and I plunged in, and then I just moved it a few thousandths in and a few thousandths out, and it seems to be just dandy. Now what I did was I purposely, I did not go as deep. These are 1/8 inch O-rings, they're 1/8 inch thick and everything, and on the factory flange I measured it, the depth, it's like over 100 thousandths. I don't know why they would do that. I would think they'd want to go halfway, you know, to get a good squeeze on this thing. But actually I tried that here. Obviously they knew something I didn't know. I tried that here. I went like to 50, first I went like 50 thousandths, and I tried, oh my goodness, it didn't even want to really like begin to seat. So then I went to about 80 thousandths, and and that was a little better. I could get it to seat, but you could tell it wasn't really happy about being there. So I'm about 90 thousandths, and I'm not going any deeper than that. I mean, I like that. I think this thing should sit, quite proud of this, because again, I know what I want to do. And also, I'm definitely going to leave it because, again, these plates aren't quite as thick. There's only 1/4 inch. That's all I had hanging around. And I mean, these are going to be 4 5/8 bolts socking this thing down. I mean, I've got a lot of washers and everything like that. And again, it's just a test thing. So I don't think it's going to be all that critical. I'll be as gentle as I can. But yeah, I don't know. Will that show? Let's see. I'm leaving this thing just, let me come over like a side view here. There, you can see how much exposure I have, maybe, as opposed to, where in the factory flange, believe it or not, this thing almost sits flush in that groove. And again, I'm sure that's for a reason, way over my head. But yeah, that's the way this is staying. And I certainly don't think it could, regardless of how much torque you would have put on here, I just don't think it could spit it out. It's about 3/4 of the way down. But anyway, so that's what I did, and I did that on both of them. Here's the other one. I just kind of made a scribe mark around it, just to get me in the ballpark. I mean, I did it, of course I did it by the numbers, and of course I set, my indicator, I leave that on there permanently. So I should be fine. So I'm going to do the other one, and so that's one, and I'll do the other one, and I'll bring you back. After that, we should be able to set it up in the radiator exchanger. All right. Okay, so there's our second one, and again, this seems to go really, really well. Yeah, sure. One hand, left hand. There we go. That seems to go pretty well. And again, let me zoom in there. Again, I want this thing kind of sitting proud on there because, I want to make sure I'm going to get a seal. So this one I chose to, this will be the one, obviously, with the hole. I'm going to take it out before I tap it because this is technically the inside and it's a taper pipe thread. So technically I probably should, invert it and tap it from that way. So I'll just take it out and and I'll tap it. I'll hold it in the vise. So that's that one, and this one, that's all set as well. So that's both our plates. So we should be in pretty good shape. So I'll get that hole tapped in here. I'll take this out, get the hole tapped, and then okay, and then I'll bring you back and we'll start, I guess, getting ready to set things up on the exchanger. All right, I got everything together here now. Seems kind of crazy having 4 5/8 bolts holding this little thing on. But hey, what are you going to do? I mean, it's designed to hold that thing on. So, with those huge flanges, and I wonder what that thing weighs. So obviously, so that's what it is. So I made the plate, and I went, because they're so heavy, I just went gently, and I had to shim it out with washers because, it's very shallow, and those are the bolts I had. So that's that one. I put the blank there, and then actually, as it turns out, I just realized I could have made them both blank. I put the one that I did tap that for a 1/4 inch pipe thread on this side. As it turns out, I could have left them both blank. I didn't realize that there's fittings here. I'm guessing that's going to be a pipe thread, so I'll have to on each end actually. So I'm going to have to remove and plug those. So yeah, I could have had a little more examination. I would have realized I could have left it blank, but no matter. No big deal. So and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a regular. Just a ball valve with an air chuck fitting on it. I'm not even going to bother with a gauge because I'm just gonna, once I take it apart Again, I'm assuming this thing is linear, so I'm assuming once I take it apart, the mission will be to close the, to close the two tank ends off, and that these will go back just to facilitate the the mounting. So that's what that's going to be, I guess. I mean, I'll know more when I wind up cutting it apart, because even though it's all cracked and stuff, it is still, like it's cracked in here, it is still holding it. So anyway, so I guess obviously what I'll have to do now is find some, get these fittings out. Hopefully they're just a pipe thread so that I have some plugs. And then I'll get this in somewhere, and we'll go from there. Okay, I'll bring you back. Well, you don't have to beat me over the head with a 2x4. I guess we got a problem without too much effort here, right? Look at that. Man, look at the size of that thing. Well, I guess what it is it's this next core. So that'll be 1, 2, they already took 3 out. I guess, let me shut this air off. I guess we'll have to, I'll have to take this whole next core out. Okay, well, I've got it cut apart. Let me zoom in here. Okay, obviously, right there, that's what you saw when I had it stood up. And it's all split, obviously, and it's like aluminum foil. There's nothing. It looks all corroded as well as damaged. I guess probably what they said is what the case is. Probably water was in there and it froze or whatever. So I guess I have no choice. I'm going to have to cut out this section of core as well. And of course, I'm going to have to do both sides because, there's the, again, apparently these are linear. So that's the way it goes. So I guess what I'll do is I'll saw that out of there and try to put the other thing, the bottom pieces, back in for mounting. So yeah, I have them here. You can see the way they are. There's the piece of core. So there you go. And it's unfortunately it's paper thin. There's just not much of it. There's just not much of it there. So all right, that's what I'm going to have to do. Cut a piece out. I'll bring you back. Well, after much to do, you can see I pretty much got it. Everything I've patched on the 2 tanks is good. Let's see, let me go up here to this one. That's good. Nothing on the tanks, not so bad. I was able to get that. But these cores, like down somewhere right in here, I can hear a little bit of seepage, and I can actually hear something somewhere in this area as well, like almost in the middle, and then up near here I can hear something. So like I said, somewhere right in here, and I'll be damned if I'm going to keep cutting on this thing and keep taking another core out. It was bad enough. I wound up taking an additional one out because when I got the one that was ballooned, it had pulled, the way these fins are attached, it had actually pulled on the opposite side, the one above it. So now I had to cut another one out. And this just, before long, we keep chopping on this thing, there's just not going to be much of it left. So so that's about it. They're going to have to live with whatever seeping is on there. So let me shut that air off. That's enough of that. I know you can't even hear it, but so that's why I'm satisfied with what I've got. So that's where we're going to be. Yeah, that's about it. I'm going to start, I'm going to take it down from where it is. I had a real hell of a time getting in here because it was between the fins, even the tank itself, it's so thin that it was cracked. I essentially had to stack bead next to bead next to bead and chase it all the way up into the core, and be very, very careful not to, you know, not to put that down, not to, you know, not to overheat that. It's very tricky. So, so anyway, that's enough of that. It's about as good as it's going to get. So now I'm going to take it down from here, lay it back down on the horses, or you know, and begin to start putting the pieces back in. Okay, well, that's going to be it. I've put everything back. Put the pieces. Let me see here. I'm going to zoom in here. I've put the pieces, the mounting piece, you know, the pieces that hold the, you know, for the mounting back in. And like I say, as you can see, I had to remove 2 additional cores. These things are in really sad shape. Same thing over here. Everything's been returned to where it was, you know, as close a pattern as I could follow. But again, like I said, I had to remove the 2 cores. The tanks are all sealed up. I'm very, very happy with, you know, everything I did is all sealed up. I put all the fittings back in, took all the plugs out. I'm happy to report my little, you know, my little scheme with the plates here worked. That worked out pretty well. You know, that absolutely held, you know, held very tight there. So that all worked out pretty well. So that's going to be about it for this. Like I said, I can hear seeping in these cores a little bit. So I guess, I don't know if it's kind of rot, or if it's just damage or age, or a little of all those things, or whatever. But that's it. I've done as well as I could with it. So that's pretty much what they asked anyway. They said, just please do what you can with it, because it's a very expensive piece to replace. So that's going to be it, I guess. That's going to wrap this up on this Ingersoll Rand construction compressor aftercooler. So that's it. Everybody, thanks for watching, and if you enjoy what you see, please subscribe, and that's about it. So as some famous guy once said, everybody polka. See you next time.